edition of Ozark Homestead. Today we're going to be out into the garden, in-ground garden, and we're going to be putting in squash. We've got past the threat of frost, and it's time to get in the dirt and get some things growing. As you can tell, we've already got part of it prepped. I've already cut out spaces in the landscape fiber. Just kind of tuck this in, pull it back. And we're going to show you how we're going to plant these squash. Now the first thing is we're going to dig a hole. And loosen this all up. I guess some people could say, oh, that looks like a no-till garden. Well, I guess you could say it is. But we're going to dig this up. Get this all out of the way here. Kind of loosen it up in the bottom. Now the next thing I do is I save these. This is out of a Miracle-Gro box, and it's a nice little measuring tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a variety of things in this hole to help boost the plant once it gets started. Now one thing is to take 1 scoop of blood meal, mix that in there, and then we take another scoop of worm castings, and then the next thing as I put in there, because this is real good for calcium, phosphorus, is a scoop of bone meal. Put that all in there, and then we mix it all up. And then I take a scoop of my own mix, which is compost, topsoil, and some of that expanding soil that I did a thing the other day on. And in that, we're going to put some organic fertilizer. Kind of mix that all up in there. Because the bone meal and blood meal and all that, it takes a little while for it to break down. And there's a lot of schools and trains of thought on that, whether to use it or not, because it's going to be a while before they take off. But once it takes off, it's going to grab a hold of them and they're going to go. Now, next thing we do is we pick out our squash. Now, I raised these from seed, and this is a yellow crookneck squash. And as you can tell, it's got some really good roots. Really good roots. So you press that down into the hole, and take another scoop of our mix, put that in, get a little bit more here, and then we're going to water it in. And I've got my Miracle-Gro mixture on this, and a lot of people say, man, you're putting a lot of stuff in that hole. Well, I want some squash. So we'll just let this in my homemade watering can. We'll just water that in really, really, really good. And there you have it. Then we just unfold everything. Get it all covered back up here. And there it is. And that's how I plant squash. Now I've got quite a few more here I'm going to have to do, but that's the basic idea right there. Well, there it is, all planted. Yellow crookneck, zucchini, straight yellow. There's the whole row. Now a lot of people are going to look at this and say, you got them too close together. Well, not really. Because what I'm going to do, as these things start to grow, I'm actually going to grow them vertically. I'm going to stake them out and grow them straight up. That way they won't be sprawled out all over the place. Alright, for our next project, we're going to start working on these straw bales. I've already wet them down again, get them all soaked up, and they should be just about ready. And I believe we're going to put maybe some maybe some tomato and pepper plants in these, or at least in one of them. And we'll get to that here in just a second. Okay. First of all, we need to dig a hole, open this bale up a little bit, and it's pretty soft. Now, some people say you can just reach down in there and dig in. We'll see how. Oh yeah, look at that. That's what you want, folks. That's what you want. Okay. What we're going to put in here is we're going to put in a pepper plant. And this is a Keystone Giant. It's supposed to be big peppers. So the first thing I'm going to do, even though it's got some good soil down in there, I'm going to go ahead and throw a little bit of medium in there. And then we're going to come back with our standards. With our earthworm castings, spread that in there. And then bone meal, put that in there. And then our blood meal. Now, when you prepare one of these straw bales, I use the blood meal to break it down, like where the nitrogen builds up in there, and then you get a lot of the organisms, and then they start feeding on all that, and that's what causes that to break down, and it causes your bale to get discolored and everything, and man, that's some rich dirt down in there. So the next thing we're going to do is get out our pepper plant. Oh, nice little root ball on that one. And I'm going to place it down in there really, really, really deep. Now, some people say you just close it back up. I'm not a big fan of that after watching some videos and kind of studying on this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill that up with dirt and then pull it together. Push it down in there. And I'm burying this thing up to the bottom leaf. To make sure it's got good contact. Here we go. We put that all in there. Like one more. And then squeeze it back together. And there you have it. And then of course we're going to water it in. Even though it is moist, I still want to get some moisture, and like I said, I'm using just water that's made up with Miracle Grow. This will help with the transplant shock. Get that all down in there. There we go. And there we have it. So I'm going to wind up putting 3 in this bale, and I'll have 1 to put over there, and then I've got a couple of tomato plants I'm going to put in, and we'll come back after I get all that done and look and see how it went. Alright, well there you go. We've got 4 pepper plants and a couple of tomatoes down here, all put in the same way, and they've been watered in, and we're just going to keep an eye on it. This is the first year I've grown straw bales, and before I went completely nuts with it, I wanted to experiment and see if it does work for me, and we'll see. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode and here at the homestead. And we did get a couple of things accomplished today. And I was always told by some older folks, older than me, many years ago, if you're homesteading and you can only get one thing accomplished each day toward that homesteading, that's one less thing you have to worry about. So hopefully I'm passing that knowledge on to you, because I'm one of these people who believe in hanging on to the old ways of doing stuff, because one of these days that may be the only thing we have. So until the next video, so long from here at the Ozark Homestead.